Welcome back to Game 2 of our doubleheader today between the Lions and the Jessup Warriors. Hello, everybody. JJ Johnson returning for this one. Thank you to Robert Ronco for filling in for my shoes as I was all recovering volleyball.
I'm still here.
Well, I was going to get to you in a second, Zuby, but Vanguard men's volleyball was able to somehow make an astronomical comeback in the fifth set to avoid the reverse sweep of Jessup. Was an incredible match over there. As you astutely pointed out to me, Zuby, Vanguard is leading this Jessup weekend by a score of 4-2 overall in terms of wins.
Yeah, now 2 wins in baseball, up 2-1 in the series, upsetting number 3 Jessup at Cal Poly Slow.
Well, you would probably consider Game 1 today to be a bit of an upset. We thought that Vanguard didn't have enough juice left in the tank after the 14 runs they put up yesterday. Said, actually, no. Here's another one for you. And this a 14-5 victory in Game 1. As the first pitch coming in from Chris Parleski is on the way to get started the 4th game and the 50th matchup all time between the Warriors and the Lions. On the ground, Fred Buxton at short, eats him up, but he's got it on a good appetite to be able to consume it for the first out.
Be back there.
Parleski rifles that one over to Gallegos, and they'll make the toss to Parleski, who shows off the wheels, beating out the right fielder Antone for the second out. We mentioned Gallegos is over there. The hot corner is going to be manned by Brian Paymart for this one. We saw him come in place of Slikart at the end of Game 1 today. We'll continue to talk about that narrative in just a moment. But the middle infield once more is Buxton and Maz. Was batting second in Game 1. He was arguably their best hitter at 2 for 5 with 3 ribbies. Reaches out for that one and puts it in front of Jackson Davis in center field. So we've got Otis now, who was having some fun yesterday with the Vanguard men's soccer team, who was out there in right field with plenty of chirps. They were messing with Antone a lot. Antone was able to return the favor, and they were having the men's soccer players said that Antone was being a good sport about, but Otis was definitely upset with whatever the men's soccer team was saying. So he has to be glad that they are off today and away for the weekend.
You know, I still kind of thought that maybe they would show up just to...
High chopper here. Buxton's charging in, but he'll leave it to Paymart, who loses the hat. And it's in time! That's the second time this series now that we've seen Brian Paymart lose his hat and show off his cannon. To leave one runner stranded, we'll go to the bottom and see if Vanguard's offense can continue to cook. Jackson Davis will lead off here in the bottom of the first on the Vanguard Sports Network, and you have to feel like he took his benching very personal yesterday in Game 2 because he came back in this one and went leadoff home run in Game 1 to get the party started for Vanguard.
Yeah, definitely something was going on. He just wanted to come back with a vengeance line.
Yeah, well, it is. The temperature's picking up a little bit. We're flirting around 80 degrees here, which is the warmest game of the season so far. However, the wind is still pretty dominant as we're past the 3:30 mark here in Costa Mesa, California. And if you're new here, this is usually the time in the afternoon where the wind really picks up blowing in as the sun starts to set. Big delivery here from Vassar, the pitcher for Jessup, as we've already seen one Sacramento City College transfer in Albee yesterday get roughed up by Vanguard. It's now going to be his former teammate Eric Vassar to try to pick up the spirits of the Jessup side.
It's on the cusp of getting 30 RBIs.
He had a 4th of Vanguard's hits in Game 1, and he will not get one here as Otis has a read on it. Davis will retreat for the first out. But 4 of their 16 hits, a good recipe as the 2-hole. And I'm sure he loves returning to that 2 spot after having slide up in the lineup as Davis was removed from the lineup completely.
No, I don't think he was a fan of being in the leadoff spot.
No.
Definitely wasn't a fan of that.
But again, Vanguard produced offense without him or Jackson Davis yesterday in their 14-4 victory, which is Vanguard's first double-digit victory of the season. They were close to doing that again, but Jessup with some late runs as Davis is on the move. And, ooh, man, a slip there off the knee.
Had no shot of getting Davis.
7 for 8 now goes Davis as Vanguard continues to pick up the aggression on the base pass. Really good sign for Rodriguez to be back on the hot corner considering the injury that he had yesterday. He could not put any weight on that foot. Well, Jessup is, I don't want to say in panic mode right now, but going down the left field line in a hurry was a couple of men, and they've already got someone throwing, and we're still 1 away in the bottom of the first. 3-0. Okay, goes obligatory take. Peg putting the signs on. Touching every upper body part. 3-1. Vassar. Walks. He will walk Gallegos back into the box. 3-2. Big moment here. 3-2. 1 out. Runners in motion. Gallegos comes up empty. And now Slykart's caught in a pickle. The throw back is not in time. Davis did move over to third.
Like I just forgot how many outs there was.
Joey Scott Voldy, first base coach for the Lions, is having a word with him as Slikar continues to dust himself off, but at least Davis moves up 90 feet as a result. Unconventional. Well, if Spencer Edmonton's your ace, Chris Parleski's got to be your king of spades, Zuby, because this guy has been impressive. But believe it or not, this is actually his first home start in almost a month. Remember, he pitched against Waihilo, which was phenomenal, 6 innings there, 5 hits, the 1 earned run on his name, 2 Ks, 2 walks, which was his most walks he's allowed in a single outing this season. But he missed the Menlo start the next week because he had the flu, as most of the bullpen was dealing with it. It started with Dylan Henson. Parleski picked it up, missed his start in that, inserted J-Mo on that one. He had a pitch on the road against Biola, and now he's finally back at the confines of Dean Harvey Field.
Great as he is, I'm happy to finally see Parleski, you know?
I've been jealous because we have been marveling from afar at what he's been able to do for this Lions staff. Despite missing a start as well, he's still 7th in Ks looking at 13. He's tied for first in fewest home runs allowed in the conference. He actually pitched against Vanguard here 2 years ago, almost as a high chopper to Brian Paymar. He's got it in glove. Over to Tristan Gallegos for the first out, but when he was a member of St. Cat, April 26, 2023, he blew a save versus Vanguard on senior day as Vanguard walked him off.
Yeah, so we were probably cheering for his failure, but now we're cheering for his success.
It's crazy how that works out, as guess when senior day is this year? April 26th, so it'll be 2 years to the day where he'll get to flip the script and hope for continued success for the Lions on senior day, as they've had some heroics. But that'll be the last 2 home games in a few weeks' time against Westmont. Across the brim there for a ball. It's a moment. Buxton has the ball and will try to throw out Anderson. Good scoop by Gallegos, helping out Fred Buxton. Nearly a miscue there from the shortstop.
Yeah, it's showing that good stretch. Just go out and get that ball, get the right time to pick it. And, I mean, man, we got to know Gallegos is a yoga instructor.
The good news for Vanguard defensively, don't want to jinx it, but you know what? I'll go ahead and hold off. Just because, you know, the look that you just gave me.
And talking about saying how they're having perfect days at the plate.
Chopped over the head of Parleski. Mazzaferro will have a turn now as the throw is over to Gallegos in time for the third out. 3 up, 3 down for Chris Parleski going to the bottom of the second. As you pointed out, got dinged in the head. And for Jessup fans, that's eerily familiar to the 9th inning of last year's GSAC tournament. The top of the 9th, where Hope International was up to bat. The game that Jessup won on the walk-off, but it was a very scary situation because James Williams, III, was the catcher. We were there on site for that one, and there was a foul ball right back square on his forehead, and the way that he fell back limp was one of the more terrifying situations that we've seen. Thankfully, he was able to walk off under his own power, but anytime you see the catcher get dinged in the head like that, for Jessup fans, they get a little bit of deja vu as that ball's through the right side for Tyler Shiganaka. So what do you think of this? Angel Perez in the 7-hole offensively right now. So we see him in that 9 spot. Obviously, Moss has been struggling from the dish, but had a pretty good game 1 today. Angel Perez, though, as it stands, is the guy that you want to flip the lineup from that 9 back to Jackson Davis because of his OBP. With his pink bats, as the pink-sleeved Anderson retrieves a ball from the home plate umpires. They've moved around. James Smith is calling balls and strikes for the 2nd time this series. He called game 1. Carlos Trujillo and Keith Gibbs are back on the corners.
Yeah, we know how Smith loves that outer part of the plate. So
kick and fire from Vassar is snatched up by Anderson. If you want to trip around the standings really quick, Westmont still holding down the 1 spot in the conference, but Point Loma, because of Jessup's loss, now moves up on win percentage to 2nd, even though they're on the bye this week. So Jessup's at 3rd with that 21-10. Conference record on the ground to shorts. The throw over to Hazel's in time as Paymar somehow, the wind knocked off his helmet. I mean, we got to get that guy a smaller ball cap because have you seen his hat fall off and now his helmet?
Put some glue on just the top of his head, you know?
That's how you know he was flying, though. Cole Hazel was in the midst of a 6-game hit streak stretching from HPU into the first game against Westmont, including that last game, which was against Westmont, 3 for 4. And then the rest of the Westmont series, he was blanked. And now, after that 3 for 4 outing, he's been goose-egged in the hit column in 4 of Speaking of cadence, this is a man in Parleski who certainly takes his time on the hill. He barely gets this one off before the expiration of the pitch clock. Line out there to Brian Paymard at third, 1 away. 9, I mean, if you look at him as the start of the lineup, 9 through 3 was very successful. They all had 2 hits and went a combined 8 for 17. Wind almost knocks down our equipment up here. Gives you an idea of the strength of the winds as Parleski's got a 3-1, not finishing off that pitch. Perez with a nod of reassurance to him there. Just the 7th walk of the season for a man who's had one of the best K-to-walk ratios in recent Vanguard history. As this one is downstairs, is all of a sudden CP's missing a little bit more, but versus FPU, he had the complete game, 95 pitches, the first for Vanguard since Dylan McDonald actually, all the way back on April 15, 2023. Yes, Vanguard has went that long without a complete game performance from a pitcher. Situation, runners on the move. Hit and run was on, though. Executed to perfection. Slykart's going to try to throw him out at 3. Oh, my goodness gracious. Oh! Coach Pegg is livid. He's already halfway out. That was an absolute dot from Josh Slykart in right field. He looked to be out by a mile.
I mean, Levine can fly, but Josh Slykart with a bullet to third base. I don't know how.
All he had to do was squeeze. That was a picture perfect. That's going to be.
And Bipe did. Bipe caught it and stayed at third base, let the runner come to him, and he just applied the tag. What is?
Say what you will about Slykart at third base. That is his position, right field, and he just showed you exactly why he was supposed to be a right fielder coming into the season. That was textbook. Pegg continuing to plead his case, but, I mean, there was no one else who had a vantage point. But I tell you what, he was out by a mile. We're going to have the call stand. Oh, man, mark that one down if you're watching at home as a potential turning point in this game, because he was for sure out, and Vanguard fans are not pleased, to say the least. It was going to be either way, but runners on the corners. Vanguard's got to watch out for the special situations that Coach Payne might put on, especially considering they have the most aggressive team stealing bases this season in the Pac West. He did go. Might have been a makeup call.
Maybe. But, I mean,
Jessup fans certainly think so.
I don't know if I want a makeup call to be the first pitch of a check swing. I don't know.
I 100%
if you're going to tell me that's a makeup call, then I'm not going to be happy with that. If you tell me he swung, okay, yeah, he swung. But if you're telling me you're making that up for that play right there, then
I don't want it.
I don't want it at all.
Pulled wide, 1-1. Something just blew onto the field near Josh Slykart. Not sure if he's aware of it. The ball's fouled off. But CP, he entered today with that 34-6 K-to-walk ratio. That's the second best mark since the infamous Tyler Armenta, or not infamous, but famous Tyler Armenta mark. Jesus Munguia last year had a 46-7 K-to-walk ratio through March 21st, and that included 6 consecutive appearances without a walk for Jesus. But CP doesn't like that ball.
And we're talking about.
But sorry, Zuby, but really quick, guess what Tyler Armenta's mark was for the entirety of the season?
62-4.
No, but that's a pretty good ratio. 35-2.
Oh, that's still a really good ratio.
35. In fact, he went about 4 months without walking a guy. The last time he walked someone was actually the last batter he faced in his collegiate career, which was in the GSAC tournament. They got him leaning, but throws offline. But yeah, Tyler Armenta went from January to May without walking anyone. And then the last guy he ever saw, he walked him, which was an ironic twist of fate. So I felt really bad for Armenta when we were out there calling the GSAC tournament. As it stands, we have a 2-2 once more. This one's a little bit more predictable for CP. Still the one out and just a double play away. We know Vanguard's proficient at turning those.
Yeah, hitting the most double plays and causing the most double plays. Really weird stat to have.
He's at 35 pitches and only 18 of them have been strikes.
You just got to change something up. Everything's missing in the exact same spot.
Angel Perez buys him 1-1. On the ground, Maz to Buxton. The throw to first is in time. Parleski gives a tip of the cap to his 4-6-3 tandem to get him out of a jam. We'll go to the bottom of the third and see if this Vanguard offense can reignite on the Vanguard Sports Network.